So, what you're looking at here is the cover of a book that's, well, it's less of a story and more of a survival guide for the human spirit. It was written in the shadow of one of history's absolute darkest moments, but its lessons are, believe me, timeless. This is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Frankl kicks things off with this really haunting thought, and it immediately makes you question everything you assume about survival. See, in the camps, it wasn't always about being the strongest or the most ruthless. It was about something else entirely. And Frankl suggests that the price of that survival was often a piece of your own humanity. And that leads us to the core question of this entire book. When you have absolutely nothing left, no freedom, no dignity, not even a shred of hope, what on earth gives you a reason to get up in the morning? Frankl's whole life basically became a living experiment to find that answer. Now, before we can even get to his answer, we have to really grasp the sheer scale of the assault on the human spirit. The camps weren't just prisons. They were like factories, specifically designed to dismantle a person's identity piece by piece. I mean, just look at how systematic this was. It was a cold, calculated process. First, they take all your belongings. Then, your entire body is shaved. And finally, your name. Your very name is stolen and replaced with a number tattooed on your skin. Frankl became prisoner 119-104. The idea was that in just a few hours, your entire past would just vanish. To really make this personal, let's look at Frankl's own story. As a respected psychiatrist, he arrived at Auschwitz with his entire life's work, this precious scientific manuscript, sewn into the lining of his coat. That book wasn't just paper to him, it was his purpose. He desperately tried to explain how important it was to another prisoner, just hoping he could save it. And the response he got? A single, blunt word: shit. In that one moment, Frankl understood the brutal new reality. His past, his work, his identity, it was all completely worthless here. He had to let go of everything he thought he was. But here's the thing. It's right there, at absolute rock bottom, that Frankl discovers something truly profound. He starts to form a brand new theory about what really drives us as human beings, even in the worst imaginable circumstances. He literally watched this famous Nietzsche quote play out in real time. The prisoners who somehow managed to survive, they were the ones who had a why, a future to live for, a loved one they dreamed of seeing again. That why gave them the strength to bear the unimaginable how of life in the camp. And this idea put him in direct opposition to the psychological giants of his time. You had Freud, who believed we're all driven by a will to pleasure. Then his contemporary, Adler, argued for a will to power. But Frankl, having seen humanity stripped down to its very core, knew it had to be something deeper. He called it the will to meaning. He believed that our most fundamental, most human drive isn't for pleasure, it's not for power, it's for a purpose. It's that search for a reason for being that truly motivates us and gives us our strength. Okay, so if we're all searching for meaning, where do we find it? That sounds like a huge philosophical question, right? But Frankl didn't leave it there. He actually laid out 3 very clear paths that anyone, and I mean anyone, can follow. So the first path is through our work. Creating something or accomplishing a goal that feels significant. The second is through love, caring deeply for another person. And the third, which is maybe the most profound, is finding meaning in the way we face suffering that we just can't avoid. This could be something as simple as sharing your last crust of bread, or just offering a kind word to someone on the verge of giving up. And Frankl's own experience is just such a powerful example of that second path. He was on a brutal death march, frozen, exhausted, ready to just collapse. What saved him? He retreated into his mind and started having these vivid, imaginary conversations with his wife. He could literally see her smile, he could hear her voice encouraging him. And in that moment, he had this incredible realization. Even when you have nothing left in the entire world, you can still find joy and meaning in the love you hold for another person. That love, that richness inside of you, was a source of strength that the guards and the fences could never, ever touch. All of these experiences, the pain, the loss, the love, they all led Frankl to his single, most powerful and enduring insight. It's an idea that he called the last of the human freedoms. I mean, just try to imagine it. The prisoners had lost everything that defines a person: their family, their home, their job, even their own name. It really seemed like there was absolutely nothing left to lose. But Frankl realized there was one thing that remained, one thing they couldn't take.
And here it is. The guards could control his entire external world. They could starve him, they could beat him, they could work him to the bone. But they could not control his mind. The freedom to choose your attitude in any situation, that is the one power no one can ever take away from you.
But Frankl didn't just stop at telling his story. No way. He took these brutal, hard-won lessons and he built something constructive from them, a new form of psychotherapy, designed to help anyone find their own reason to live. He called it logotherapy. It comes from the Greek word logos, which means meaning, and the entire approach is built on that one core idea. So instead of digging deep into your past, logotherapy is future-focused. It's all about helping people find their unique purpose to overcome challenges, sometimes using a really interesting technique called paradoxical intention. And you know, what makes logotherapy so resonant, so real, is that it wasn't born in some comfortable academic office. It's a philosophy that was forged in fire. It was tested and proven in the harshest laboratory on Earth. Frankl's survival is the ultimate proof that his theory works. So in the end, Frankl's incredible journey leaves us all with a question for our own lives. He discovered that having a why can help us endure almost any how. So the question he leaves for all of us is this: when you face your own challenges, big or small, what is the why that gives your life meaning?